So the 5-year projection includes both the financial projection and the employee hiring plan for the next 5 years. Those are the two key things in the 5-year projections. As far as the financial projections, we need to demonstrate it's a profitable business, but the profit, the revenue and profit generation needs to be credible. If the business is going to be making projected to make hundreds of millions of dollars in year one, visa officer are probably not going to believe that. So it's a striking a balance with the financial projections and a steady growth. Now, in reality, 5 years later, when the applicant is applying for E2 visa renewal, if the financial projections are far overachieved, meaning the real life performance is far above the projections, that's a fantastic factor for E2 visa renewal down the road. That would be a very impressive. On the other hand, if the projections were super high, but the same performance, the same actual performance is achieved, then it's compared to projection, it will actually make the business look weak in terms of underachieving those projections. So financial projections is critical in a sense, striking a credible balance. Job creation is also a key element of E2 visa qualification. Now, a lot of startup businesses, either they have not hired anybody yet, or the initial hiring is minimal, like initial part-time employee or just a single employee. That certainly is not going to satisfy immigration in terms of long-term job creation of this business enterprise. So immigration looks at the hiring plan closely, the year-by-year hiring plan, how many employees, what position, roles, and occupations are being hired, and does that align with the nature of the business, the needs of the business, as well as the size and scope of the business. So the hiring plan and its growth over the 5 years also has to be well balanced in order to be credible, that it meets the needs of the business as well as is appropriate based on the size of the business. If you have a tiny little business, it's not going to be credible if you're projecting multiple hundreds of hiring of people in the first or second year. But at the same time, if the entrepreneur is projecting little to no employee in the first, second, or third year, that's not going to be good either, because there would be little to no job creation. That would contravene a key E2 visa requirement. So the job creation projection needs to align with reality, and it has to be believable. And for a startup business, we want to be able to show, even if a business, let's say, could potentially operate with just 1 or 2 or 3 employees, that may not satisfy a strict visa officer. They may want the entrepreneur to be a little bit more aggressive in growing the business, so there are a little bit more employees than that. And so typically I will give feedback as to whether that hiring projection balance is struck at the right tone and right compromise so that it's credible. The determination of meaningful job creation is far more than just how many employees to hire, because the end goal is demonstrating meaningful job creation for the U.S. economy. That entails not only the number of the employees hired, but also whether the jobs are meaningful in terms of, do they provide the employee with a livable wage? Are the jobs for high-level position with high salary, or are they minimum wage positions? Are the jobs unskilled or professional positions? Are they full-time or part-time? All these factors and elements are evaluated to determine whether this business actually creates meaningful jobs for American workers. I'll give you a quick example. If a business employs 2 employees, both making 6-figure salary or high 5-figure salary, that would be a better job creation than 5 part-time employees making minimum wage. So as you can see, it's not just about the number, it's about the quality of the employment created for the US market. So those are some of my thoughts on critical elements of the 5-year projection in the business plan.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Gerald, any thoughts on that? Comments you'd like to make before we move on?
Yeah, sure. Having a lawyer that does have knowledge on the different thresholds on how many jobs should be created in year 1, year 2, to make the immigration officer comfortable is very important. And having a experienced lawyer like you that has been through so many cases really has a good feel about what should be reflected in the business plan. It's always good to have a professional, a lawyer that's an expert on these kind of points on how many jobs should be created, also how much money should be invested, and what is a substantial investment, and what for this specific business model, because we know it kind of varies. It's really a gray area. And that's one of the more technical points that we really lean on lawyers' guidance, Bobby's guidance, in order to direct the client. What qualifies as investments? Again, as business plan writers, we depend on an experienced attorney to be able to talk to the lawyer about that, to form the business plan and put the right summary investment in the business plan. And then to go back a little bit, yes, as far as projections go that we create, we always create those projections with an eye on the renewal. Because again, we would rather not raise those kind of red flags and inflate these numbers so that there's a lot of questions that are raised. We find it better to again have a more conservative financials so that they can over deliver, just as Bobby said, and really knock things out of the park instead of coming in underneath. Secondly, as far as us, really the market research and industry analysis, I mean, of course, those are important parts. And talking about the client's background, their in the executive summary, and their skills, and why that would be transferred over to this new endeavor. But we really do leave a lot of the technical, legal aspects of the application to the lawyers we work with, and of course, Bobby's guidance.
Thanks for watching our video. If you found it helpful, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. If you have any questions or need clarifications, feel free to reach out to us. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more valuable tips about the E2 visa.